All right, so we are now live on Wade's Ventures YouTube channel, guys. Sorry that we're late, but better late than never. Guys, welcome in. Let me say hello to everybody that was patiently waiting here, and then we'll get on with our guest. Guys, if I look a little weird, it's because this is a new computer. You guys know that I got the 27 inches now, and I've got the Logitech webcam way up here, and I'm used to having it here. So it's going to take a little bit of adjusting, but hopefully we can get this adjusted. What's going on, Lisa? How are you? All right, let's get in. Let me say hello to some people, and then we will introduce our really amazing guest, guys. Super excited. Nobody buys Pepsi like this man here that's waiting. So let me go up here and say hello. So it's Thrifty Santa, ho ho ho. Barry's in the house. What's going on, Dontello? What's going on, guys? Flipping Daily, my life. What's going on? Let me scroll. It looks like we have a lot of conversation here. Cats Meow. What's going on, guys? Check out that interview. Lisa, what is going on? I know you were sick. Hopefully you're feeling better. Believe me, I know how it is to get sick. Lisa, what is going on? How are you, Lisa? All right, so let's get into this, guys. For those of you who don't know, Mondays, which I missed, so we're going to make it up Thursday, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, we have a really cool guest on my YouTube channel. And I like to shower you guys with really cool people. And we've got a great lineup the rest of this week, guys. So those of you who are just joining, new to my YouTube channel, guys, welcome in. I appreciate you stopping by. And without further ado, guys, well, I know we're late. We're going to get right into this, and then we're going to have our haul video. So the structure is I'm going to get to know this man, and you guys are too, and then we'll have our haul video. And then if you guys have questions, please put it in chat. And before we get started, I'm going to put his YouTube channel in the chat, guys. So go subscribe. Please let me know what number subscriber you are, and I will shout you out. All right, without further ado, we have a treasure of an individual here, and I'm going to go ahead and let him introduce himself. Go ahead, my man.
Thanks, Wade. I'm Dominic Carone. I run the Primetime Treasure YouTube channel and eBay store. And also the Facebook Reselling Resource Center. So I'm doing a whole bunch of different things related to reselling at the same time right now.
It's super exciting because I know how tough it is to run a YouTube channel, your eBay store, a Facebook group, and we're going to dive into that. I'm going to ask you a ton of questions. I really got to get used to this camera because I look at everywhere. All right. So without further ado, tell us a little bit. Are you part-time, full-time? How many platforms are you selling on? Give us like a snapshot of your life right now.
Good question. So I'm going to venture, no pun intended, that I am the first person that you've had on your channel that works full-time as a neuropsychologist and also runs a medical website and also does reselling on the side. So I do three things at the same time, balancing out. So it's a part-time job. I'm breaking some news here on your channel because I haven't talked about that on my YouTube channel, what I do full time. But since this is, kind of a personal question type interview, I'm happy to share that kind of information. But yeah, I'm working 8 to 5 most days, in a hospital. And then I'm coming home doing parenting stuff with the kids and trying to balance out reselling during the night times and on days off and all sorts of stuff in between. Tons of multitasking. Decreased sleep to kind of try to be more productive and just continue to hustle to grow the business, because that's really of the three things that I'm doing, the neuropsychology job, the medical website, medfriendly.com that I run, and the blog, plus the reselling. The reselling is the most fun for me, and it's just, I have a ton of passion into that.
Well,
so
how do you have the time? How do you find the time for all that? Real quick, I accidentally put out the Google Hangouts link and not your YouTube link, so I'm getting that right now. But
right.
Tell me, how do you find the time to do all that?
Yeah, that's a good question. People ask me that all the time. And really, to find the time is, coming up with efficient systems. So, a lot of multitasking, doing the, 2 things at once. So, for example, like last night, if I'm at the gym, take my son to the gym, working out a little bit, try to stay in shape still. At the same time, I'm sitting there doing deals in between sets on, on my eBay app with offers that are coming in and negotiating with people. Or I've got, Craigslist ads up in which I'm, recruiting, sourcing material. And so, right there, I'm doing deals at the gym, while, so doing two things at once. As like I said, decreased need for sleep helps a lot. I've kind of always been like that, but I could get by generally most times on 4 hours, 5 hours. So that really does help a lot. And like I said, just coming up with efficient systems to manage my time properly, and just in terms of the way I have my whole setup, in terms of how I have all my layout, just so I'm not wasting time as far as how I organize things. So I just know where to quickly find stuff, and I'm not fussing around, trying to, wasting a bunch of time trying to find things. So, it's just a matter of balance. And as I've, trying to increase the business and grow it in terms of, how much I could do, I've been more and more successful. I'm finally starting to get to the point where I'm asking my wife to help me out a little bit. So she's been, for example, we just purchased this epic Funko Pop collection, and she just said, "How could I help you out with this?" And I said, "You know what? If you could just photo all these, that would really help me." So she photoed all them, emailed them to me, and then I'm listing them. So that's another thing. Plus, the other thing I'm starting to do more is, just to increase the revenue that's coming into the business is, rather than selling a bunch of smaller priced items, I'm increasing the value in terms of the items that I'm sourcing, so I don't have to do as much to make more money. Like a good example, if you want me to show you something.
Yeah.
I actually have to pack this up after we get off tonight, but I had this in one of my recent haul videos. This is it's a Dietz Visi flashlight. These came out in the 1960s. They're actually made in Syracuse, New York, which is where I'm located. And these things are super cool. So, you plug them in and flash. This thing actually, it does work. I purchased it for $20, which is above what I normally pay for things when I source. So, I'm normally getting stuff for like, $10 and under, and still, flipping it for $30, $40, $50, something like that. But I, picked this one up, $20, put it up in 2 hours. Last night it sold for $125. So, that's a good example of, just something I'm doing to kind of still bring in good money, but also with time involved, because you asked about time. If you're sourcing, a higher value items, you don't have to put as much time into it. Rather than selling 12 items at $10 a piece, that one for 120, saves a bunch of time doing that.
So by the way, I'm blown away. Guys, let me know if you can hear me okay. I don't know if this mic is working, to be honest. I don't know if it's using the computer, but let me know if you can hear me. First time using this computer going live, but I can tell you that it's been since April 9th that I went full time. And I know how hard it is to have a full-time corporate job and work on the side. So it's crazy. Let me shout out a few people here. They're all subscribing to your YouTube channel.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'm putting your link below, and every time you've seen my live shows, but we've got my Australian buddy, Good Stuff, 328. Cat's Meow, 325. 327 is Gina. Lisa is 323. Pac-Man's in the house. I thought he was going to miss this one at the very beginning, but he never misses. So 322. And just really, really cool people subscribing to your YouTube channel, guys. I appreciate you supporting everybody that comes on this Wade's Ventures, which is me, YouTube. All right, so let me ask you a few personal questions, if you don't mind.
Sure. Oh.
We're going to ask you a few personal reselling aspect, because people like to get to know you as a person too. And I'm curious, like first of all, your full-time job, explain what that entails. Like, I'm curious, like what is a what did you say you were again? Sorry.
Yeah, it's good you bring that up, neuropsychologist, because my still tells people that I'm a neurosurgeon. I don't do surgery, but basically I spend my day evaluating patients, adults and children, who have either some type of brain injury or brain disease, and either a doctor or a nurse practitioner refers the patient over, is trying to figure out what's the extent of their limitations based on their injury or their brain disease. So for example, it could be someone with a brain tumor or a stroke or multiple sclerosis or traumatic brain injury is very popular in terms of a diagnosis that comes in. And so, I spend all day, large part of the day with that, really 4 or 5 hours administering a battery of tests, doing an interview, reviewing medical records, and basically assessing their performance, and then writing a report, and sending it off to the, referral source. So that's a large part of what I spend my time doing. It's highly clinical. I do some professional writing on the side, professional speaking and talking, which is why I thought the YouTube channel might be a good venue for me, because I have a bunch of experience doing presentations and stuff. So that's why I even have some PowerPoint things that I've done on there, which is kind of a vestige of that. I also, with professional writing, I also have written. I actually have my second book coming out in October, and I have one published previously. Within my profession on traumatic brain injury, and so that's just some other things I have I've been doing related to that job. So
I think that's amazing. I real quick, I'm curious. Like, I know that is a touchy subject, like working on your day-to-day life, and the reason I ask that is because I know that sometimes it's hard to mix the two. But how do you stay positive? Like, you're dealing with a lot of people that have a lot of big life-changing issues. Like, how do you stay positive doing that, and then coming home and working and everything else that you have? Like, how do you stay positive?
That's a good question, because even though I'm a neuropsychologist, your training primarily initially is as a clinical psychologist, and one of the most popular forms of therapy is called cognitive behavioral therapy, which is all based on, if you could change the way you think, then that affects the way you feel. Your thoughts affect your feelings, and so it's just a matter of the perspective you bring to it and how you think about things. So yeah, you're right. I could go in every day and I could come home and be really sad about some of the plights that the patients are in, but at the same time, it could also be something that provides perspective, and just makes you stop and think every day how lucky you are about the things that you do have, and that it's not just that these patients have brain injuries or brain disease. A lot of these patients, their lives are in shambles. They're in they're financially destitute. They have no social supports around them, and I'm going home to a wife and 2 kids, and a nice house and that sort of stuff. So it's just I just choose to look at it that way in terms of perspective building, and also just feeling that I'm, in many cases, I do feel that I'm helping people out who are in a bad situation. So that makes you feel good as well.
Well, I think that's amazing what you do. I appreciate that. Hopefully nobody in chat and nobody has any family that'll ever have to go through this, but it is, unfortunately, it's there. So, all right. So you work full time. You are a rock star in the medical field, and then you kind of breach over. How many platforms are you selling on right now?
I started in 2000 with eBay, and I could go into that personally a little bit later if you want some backstory type of stuff. But I've stuck with it. I mean, when I took some time off for a while, because of all the stuff I had to do for my training. Then I got back into it more recently after, just accomplishing a lot of things professionally that I wanted to do, and now I'm kind of venturing into some other things again, especially the reselling, really trying to build that up. But so since I was used to eBay back in 2000, which was just a few years after it came out as a platform, and I'm having such great success with it that I've really stuck with it. There have been a few times I did a video on this in terms of flipping some larger items on Craigslist, so I do that from time to time. I did experiment with Poshmark. Now, I didn't put the best item on there. I put a kid's Gap sweater on, which is probably why it didn't sell. But I was kind of, I know some people have had great success with Poshmark, but I didn't. The social aspect of it, in terms of the the constant sharing and following and stuff, I just didn't have the time for that right now with all the other things that I have going on. Not to say that it's not a good form. It obviously is for a lot of people, but because I've done well selling the clothes on eBay. And by the way, shout out to Rockstar Flipper. I know you're friends with Casey. He really influenced me a lot in terms of selling clothing, because that's not something I ever thought I would do before, because I primarily am into comic books and collectible type of items, and pop culture, vintage, antiques type of stuff. Never thought I'd get into the clothes, but he influenced me with that. So yeah, that's just so basically, besides that, I'm not doing Amazon FBA. I just don't have the time for that. My limited time right now, I'm focusing on primarily one form, which is eBay. I feel like I know it really well, and so I'm constantly sharing tips with people about that on my YouTube channel and on the Facebook Reselling Resource Center, which is the Facebook group I run.
Well, I think Excuse me. I think that's really really cool. I want to dig into eBay, and you just said that your wife is now starting to help you.
Yeah.
First of all, let's just say normally I say, "Wow," you know, uh, you know, because we have ladies on here, women on here, really cool resellers, and I'm like, "Wow, your husband's lucky," but in this case, your wife is lucky. She's got a workaholic in yourself, really educated. It seems like. So so is she enjoying eBay as well? Like, is she starting to get into it?
You know what? Yeah, I mean, you know, when we moved to Florida together, because right now, like I said, I'm in New York, but I used to live in South Florida, which is where I did my graduate school training, and my wife moved down with me at the time. And we used to go out on this kind of adult resale origins, although my true resale origins go back to when I was a teenager and I was flipping comic books at at auctions during the weekend, like outdoor flea market type of things. They called it an auction. It really wasn't. But yeah, so we started going together on the weekends to this place called the Swap Shop in the Fort Lauderdale area, which is just this absolutely enormous place to go outside. And there was an indoor location too, and we had fun. We just did it for fun. You know, there was no apps at the time. No one could pick up their phone and check comps. We did, I mean, it was like old school. We did everything just based on instinct, lots of mistakes, just developing an eye for things, you know, and saying, okay, you know, I think this is going to sell. Come home, it does. Sometimes you totally fail and totally flop, but just we did that for years. We had a great time doing that together. So we still do that. You know, we go out on the weekends. We go to estate sales. We go to garage sales, go to rummage sales, do all that stuff together. She checks, you know, Craigslist. She'll send me links. You know, hey, you should get this. Go get this. So she's very encouraging with all that stuff. You know, she recently asked, like I said, you know, can I help you out? And it's funny because I don't know if you ever watched the show Restaurant Impossible on the Food Network, where Robert Irvine would go into these failing businesses and explore all the different reasons why people were failing. And one of the reasons was that you'd have these owners of these businesses that they were so wound up about the business that they literally would not let any family member, anyone else help out in any way. And they just completely got overwhelmed. And the whole business just, you know, fell into ruin. And so, you know, I realized that, you know, at some point you have to ask for help. And you know, so this is just the initial stages of it. But I realize if I'm going to grow, there's just so much I can do with all the other things I have going on that I'm going to need some assistance. And so she does like it. She does. And so we're having a blast doing it. Yeah.
Prime, isn't it amazing that you can have your spouse, you know, so close to you like that in a business?
Right.
I know that sometimes couples don't work out in the same business, but I think it's really cool that you can go out, you can find an item together, you can sell the item together, and you can get the money together. I think that's really cool. Can you give me like a few tips or experiences that you've had about your eBay business that's made you better? Like, it can be anything from shipping to just knowledge to just, you know, any kind of practices that you have.
Absolutely. Well, let's start one thing. I think number one is customer service. Customer service these days, just in general, in brick and mortar retail, I find many times it's just horrible. And people don't know how to deal with a problem when it arises and get overly defensive and get their backs up and don't want to try to make the situation right. I've had too many experiences like that. So in my business, I know I do everything possible to try to make sure that the customer's happy and try to prevent the problem, be very proactive to begin with when I ship something. But once in a while, I do make a mistake. I make an error. Something might get damaged during transport, no matter, even though I tried really well to pack it up. And I'm immediately responsive to the buyer and will do everything I can to try to make sure they know I am you know, apologize for what happened and try to make it up for them, whether it's a partial refund, whether it's replacing the product with another one, whether it's giving a full refund or whatever it is. And you know, once in a while, yeah, you know, you could be victim to like a scam kind of situation. But if I ever felt like that was something that was going on, I do like that eBay does allow you to block somebody. So, you know, because you want to prevent the negative feedback. And so, so customer service, though, I'd say is number one. And I actually have a video on how to turn negative or neutral feedback that you would have otherwise gotten into extremely positive feedback. Some of my best feedbacks on eBay, which say, and I'm not saying this is true, it's just the person felt really happy because I treated them right after an issue. Multiple times someone said, "You are the best seller on eBay!" Exclamation point in all caps. I'm not, but they felt that way because I treated them right, and they're, they say, "I'm definitely going to come back again and purchase something else." So I think that's one big key is customer service. So I do see a lot of a bashing of, like there's an assumption whenever a buyer has an issue that, the buyer's trying to scam you, then certainly there are times where that's the case, but it's not always the case. Sometimes we mess up and we got to just acknowledge that sometimes. So I think that would be one thing with customer service.
Yeah, I've got an interesting story to tell everybody. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but so this was about probably 8 months ago. Don't ask me why. I think I had this helmet listed since I've started eBay Prime Time, but I had this helmet. It was a Hello Kitty helmet for a kid. I think I probably got it for free, this item. I sold it for $16. Sold the item to some guy in New York and couldn't find the item. And so those of you who don't know, you can actually get the buyer's phone number pretty easily. And so I got the buyer's phone number. I called him. He actually picked up his phone, and I said, "Hey, I can't find this helmet. Can I cancel your order? But if I find the helmet, I will ship the helmet to you free." Because it was, I don't know, I think I got it free. And I ended up shipping the helmet to him free, not to New York this time, but to LA a week later. The girl got his, I think it was his, I don't know. I know it wasn't his daughter. I think it was his nephew or something, or excuse me, his daughter's daughter, possibly. I don't know who the lady or the girl was, but anyway, she got the helmet. She was completely happy, and then he went back on and bought 2 Nike shirts from me a few weeks later. Yeah, and I recognized the name when I sent it. And then, anyways, he left me amazing feedback.
Right.
Yeah, and sometimes I think either as the if you're the buyer or the seller, sometimes it's nice to be able to like get the phone number, because you can request the phone number of the buyer and give them a call directly and then work things out that way.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about. I'm curious where you thrift at. Like, first of all, give us like a day of you. Like, I don't know when you find time to thrift, but what places do you thrift at? Goodwill. Like, give us like a landscape of where you purchase your items to sell online.
Thrift, because I don't know, and I don't think it is. I don't think it's just my area, because I saw Casey just put a video up last night about the outrageous prices at his thrift store. I've seen Steve Rakin has put up similar types of videos about just how crazy the prices are getting in the thrift stores. So I generally stay away from them. I mean, I pretty much will maybe hit a few up in the wintertime if I'm desperate and can't, just want to go somewhere, just have the itch to look. But in generally, I stay away from it. I mostly hit up, well, several sources. Estate sales are my number one. I love them. And you got to know the right estate sale vendors. You know, there's some that are just going to jack the price up and everything's going to be super crazy, but then there's others that are going to just liquidate the heck out of what's in the place, no matter what the value is. So I know who those are. That's based on experience. You got to build that up. And so, I go to those. I like going to rummage sales. I love going to garage sales. So I scout them out on Craigslist and in my local classifieds, and I develop a list throughout the week, and I kind of have a sense. I organize them by geographic location in terms of which ones I want to hit up. So for me, because I have Monday through Friday job, I don't work on weekends, but Saturday and Sundays are my big days for sourcing. Now I do take a day off here. I've been in my current position for 12 vacation time and days I could take off. So I'll take a day off just to go sourcing or just to get things done. So that's one thing. But one of the main places where I actually get things, I did a video of this on my YouTube channel, which was actually called, if you want to look at it, it's called How to Source Things in the Wintertime. But I use this all year round. I have right now 3 separate Craigslist ads up. 1 to source comic books, 2 to source Funko Pops, and 3 to source basically anything that could come from an estate that someone wants to just get rid of. They want someone to come by and clear things out. I don't buy the whole estate, but it's been amazing. Some people have let me into their house and just pick an entire estate. I'm there with no competition, and the stuff I'm pulling out is absolutely mind-blowing. And just because I put up this ad. So those ads are great. Now, there's also times where I'm looking specifically for stuff on Craigslist, and I'll respond to an ad and make a deal that way. But a lot of times it's people coming to me based on my Craigslist ad. That's how I've gotten a ton of my stuff.
Can I ask you? Can I ask?
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it's just gonna. I'm curious. Like, so, no, not a lot of people do this, I don't think. And I had Rise and Grind. I don't know if he's in the chat anymore, but he does the same thing where he puts ads out on Craigslist. So can you walk us through that process? Like, you put an ad, you say, hey, I'll buy this, this, and this, and this.
Right.
And then you're saying when you go there to buy the item, a lot of times they'll sell you other items. Like, can you go a little bit deeper into that process?
That will happen sometimes. So someone will, there's lots of things I could say about it. Well, first, the basics are, yeah, I put an ad up. Now, the key to the ad, I believe, is you have to have something flashy. What I have as examples of my ads, like, for example, my comic book one is like, you remember the Batman 1960 show with Adam West with the big POW, and it's all the colors, and it's just like that. It's like POW with all these colors, and it says comic book. So it's like, people have told me, who've sold to me, that's caught their attention. So things like that, it's just something catchy. Then the person, sends me an email, they tell me what they have. Now I'm very clear in my ad to cut down on unnecessary kind of situations I have to respond to. I let them know up front that I'm buying this as a dealer and I'm not paying full retail prices. And then I need pictures, because that's proof to me that at least they have something. Because I have a whole nother video with, it's funny, the front of it shows the Texas Chainsaw Massacre house with Leatherface grabbing the girl into the house, called How Not to Get Killed on Craigslist, because there's dangerous situations you want to try to avoid. So I take people through that too, because you got to be careful on there with sourcing. But so having the pictures is important. People send them to me, I look it over, we try to do get an initial sense of where we both are on price. And if we can't come close together on price, then I start asking, are there other things that you have available? Like, for example, this one guy sent me, to take you through like an example of something what happened. He sent me an email through my Craigslist ad that he had a bunch of Masters of the Universe items that he wanted to sell me. And turns out we were way too far apart on price. So I said, is there anything else that you have that you want to sell? And he said, well, yeah, I have some dolls. Now, I don't generally deal in dolls. However, I said, well, just tell me a little bit more about them. Send me some pictures. It turns out that they were 14 Disney theme park exclusive dolls from the 90s, which these things are crazy. I mean, they go through the roof, like Jafar and, some of the other villainous and villain characters. So he basically threw all 14 in, and I knew what the value of them was because I looked up the comps. He threw them in for just a little bit extra, and that just like sealed the deal. So a lot of it is that type of stuff. Also, me realizing, and it's one of the things I want the viewers to know, is that sometimes when someone tells you how much of something they have, sometimes they grossly underestimate it. Sometimes they really overestimate it. But a lot of times someone will tell me, oh yeah, I just have 200 comic books, or I just have a few random Magic the Gathering cards. And then I show up and there's 2,000 comic books and really valuable Magic the Gathering cards, for example. So I've learned that you can't always trust what people say. They don't always know what they have. They've had in a box for 10, 15 years. They just want to get rid of it and make a little bit of cash. So a lot of times if I have that sense that that's what's going on, I'll arrange a meetup. And we'll generally meet somewhere public, and we'll, take a look at the items and see if I could, if we can make a deal and come together on price. And yeah, lots of times, it's what you said, there's lots of extra things that wind up getting thrown into it. And I literally can't believe the stuff I'm walking away with. It's almost like, it's just like, wow, did I really just get all that stuff for such a low amount of money? It's amazing.
So, Prime, I saw one of your last videos. I think it was probably your last video, and I kind of wanted you to share this, and then we'll send people over to watch it. But you said that there was a technique that you use to negotiate. Can you go over that technique?
You must be talking about this baby right here, right? It's the put aside technique, right? So, in that last video, I talk about the haul video that I did prior to that, where I went to an estate sale. And one of the items that I purchased was the one that I showed you earlier that I purchased for the sticker price on it was $20, sold last night for $125. There were all sorts of good items in there as well, some of which were marked, some of which weren't. So for example, this vintage pull down fire alarm piece was not marked. This old photography timer that does work was marked at $5. This bell was not marked, this vintage bell. Should I demonstrate this bell? Because I think it's super cool. So, oh, I got to not hit that thing. That thing is super cool. I love that. I drive my wife crazy with this thing. So anyway, so that didn't have a price on it. So what I did is I went up and I basically said, all right, let's price all this stuff out. So everything that had a price on it, we put that in the, on the receipt. This one's $20. This is $5, $10. Then we got to the items that didn't have a price on it. This was one of them. So she said $15 for it. Now this is probably worth around $100. So $15 is a pretty fair price on it, but still, I kind of got the sense I could get it for a little bit lower, and I know how this person prices, and 15 seems just a tad high on it. So I said, you know what, we'll just take this item. Let's just put it to the side for now, and we'll come back to it later. Rather than getting into a quick back and forth about price and and haggling immediately, since I had so many items. Plus, I have a good relationship with this person anyway, so I know I could kind of do this kind of thing. So we go through all the other items, and my goal in my mind is that at the end, we'll see what the total price comes to, and then maybe we could get this kind of thrown in there some way for a little bit of a discount. And so total of everything came to $47. So I just said, well, how about we just do 60 for everything? So, not that saved a ton of money, it saved $2 off the price. But the point of that video wasn't just, save $2 on the price. Is that you could do that with higher price items. Something that's $100, you wind up getting for 75. Some for 200, you wind up getting for 150. And that's just that put aside method. They do that actually on American Pickers. You'll see that a lot, where Frank and Mike will have an item, they're interested in it. The initial price is one that they both really can't come to terms with. So they say, all right, let's just put it aside. We'll come back to it later. That's how I got that technique, was watching that show. I learned a lot from that show, from Pickers. And if anyone hasn't watched that, I highly advise watching it. Learned lots of good things on there.
So first and foremost, I think that's really cool, that technique, because when you put it down, it allows you more time to build the relationship with the person that's selling it. So that way you can get a better price towards the end. Is that not part of it too? Like building that relationship?
That is part of it. That was actually one of the things I was going to mention to you earlier when you talked about tips. What are some tips you could share? And one of them is relationship building. Again, something that you see on American Pickers. They don't just go in there, start picking things off the shelves and buying them. They talk to the people about the items and, how did they obtain it? What does it mean to you? What's the history of it? Was it your grandfather's? Did he use it for this or that? And so, get people discussing it so they feel like you appreciate the item. And I found that that's been really helpful in terms of developing that rapport. The other part about putting it to the side is that sometimes, and in this instance, it wasn't true because I really wanted it. I would have bought it for 15 no matter what. But sometimes, you put it aside, you really do want to mull it over and think it over. And the person who's selling it to you doesn't know. Are you really going to buy it or not? You're really kind of hedging on it. So then when you throw out, okay, can we do it for 60? They're like, all right, fine. We'll do it for 60. So yeah, that's part of it too. But yeah, relationship building, huge thing. In fact, that's another tip I would give. I wasn't doing this last year in the very beginning, but I went out and purchased some business cards. And man, I'm telling you, that is just, not that you don't know, but that's just such a great thing. Rather than having to write your name on a piece of paper that someone's going to lose and not find, you give them your card, they put it up on your shelf. I've got people, calling me, telling me I have your card on the refrigerator. And they call me when they get something in. And I tell them, if you get this particular item in, make sure you give me a call.
Oh yeah.
And, the other thing I'd say, and this again, and I hate to keep going back to Pickers, but again, I learned a lot of lessons from there, which is, one is, if someone might have, like sometimes someone will say, yeah, I have something, it's in the house, I've got a comic collection or whatever it is, a clothing collection that you want to get, sports memorabilia, doesn't matter. But maybe they can't get to it right then and there. But they have other things they're selling at their garage sale, for example. It's good to just get some money exchanging hands. So, you could show the person you're willing to make a deal. And then they're like, all right, well, this guy actually will purchase something from me. He's not gonna, he's not gonna stiff me. He'll actually, we'll be able to do a deal. So just doing that initial deal, exchanging the card and stuff like that, I found that to be really helpful as well.
Well, first off, I want to say I think that's a really cool tip too. Is like, negotiate. Maybe you see a really cool item that you want, towards the side, and then you see an item that you already know you want. So you buy that other, you buy the first item, exchange the money, and then go through and continue that relationship, and then go back to the item that you really want after you've exchanged that money, right?
Oh,
I think that's smart. Those of you who don't know, I have my little business card here. Yeah. So
Well,
I think that's really cool tip, Prime, is the tip on the business cards. I've got a few questions for you. I'm going to bust them out right now, rapid fire style. This is for questions from the chat, guys.
okay.
First, let me shout out a few people real quick that subscribe to your YouTube channel. Those of you who don't know, guys, we've got almost 70 people watching. Please hit the like button, because I think that this video needs to get out to more people. I've got one really awesome guest with me today. So Isabella 343 subscribes, Cindy 340. Oh, we must have one digit off. Okay, I'll just say Cindy 343, Isabella 344. Guys, thank you so much for subscribing to his YouTube channel. It means a lot. He needs to be way more followers than he is to get into, because he has just got good content. So let's go on with these questions real quick, Prime. All right, let me see here. I'm scrolling up. Okay, so first is, how many items do you have listed on eBay currently?
Good question. Generally, I'm averaging between 130 and 150. So right now, I made a bunch of sales today. I think it's at like 136, 137, something like that. And I want to actually make a point about that, because I think this is something that especially people who are newer, who are watching this, need to know. You see a lot on Instagram and in Facebook groups of people posting that they've got 2,000 items listed or 3,000 items listed. And not that that's bad, of course, that there's nothing wrong with that. But I think some people get too caught up in that, in terms of, wow, I don't have 1,000 things listed. That's not, I'm not, must be doing good. And that's not true. If you watch, and if anyone hasn't watched it, Craigslist Hunter is absolutely one of my favorites to watch. That guy brings in 6 digits a year, and he's bringing in $20,000-$30,000 a month, and he's got 150 to 200 items listed. So, it's not all about how many listings. I mean, in and of itself, it's a combination of factors.
I really like Pete. I talked to him on his phone. Yeah. I've admin in his chat. Pete is a really cool guy, and you guys can see his you guys can go to his eBay store. It's public, and you can see what he's selling and his beautiful photos. He takes amazing photos. So we have, and I think that's a good point too, real quick, is it's not necessarily on how many items you have. I think if you have desirable items, it doesn't matter quantity. So what's your best and most favorite flip that you have done on eBay?
Man, that's a hard question. Let's see. On the spot. Well, I did sell a signed Joe DiMaggio baseball for $450 that I had. It wasn't sure whether it was authentic or not. I was pretty sure that it was. Wound up getting it authenticated, and I remember that suspense of it coming back in the mail, and my wife got it first with the kids, and they called me at work, and they said, we got the letter in from, I think we went through JSA, or it was either JSA or PSA, and came in, and it was certified authentic. I was like, awesome, great. I know 100% now I'm able to sell this. So that was pretty exciting. I mean, I wound up selling for like $450, $500. So that was a good one right there.
That's amazing. What about so do you do auctions, or do you do buy it now primarily?
Awesome question. So like I said, I was doing eBay when it first came out, and in late 90s, early 2000s, and back then it was all auction. There was no such thing as buy it now or best offer or anything like that. So but once that feature came out, I started using that primarily, and that's what I use now almost exclusively. However, the reason I say it's funny you asked that is that I literally just put up 2 items for auction that I it's like the first time in years that I put anything up for auction. They are salesman promo sheets for a line of toys. You might have heard of it before. They're Japanese robots called Godaiken. And people will pay thousands of dollars for just one of these robots. That's how exclusive and how rare they are. Well, I actually came across a packet of 12 of the original promo mailer sheets that feature these robots. They're in like mint condition. So before it even came on the market, these are the sheets that the salesman were trying to put out. So I put them up yesterday for $99 for 2 of them each. And this is something I learned through Pete on his channel, because he said what he'll do when he has an item like that where he's thinking about possibly auctioning it, he'll put it out there at a high price. If someone buys it, great, but he'll be happy. But if not, and he starts getting a lot of quick views and quick watchers on it, and he starts getting a lot of questions, then he knows it's going to go hot on the auction. And so I actually took those off, and just before I came on your show tonight, I put them on an auction. I'm already getting bids flying in on it. So yeah, I once in a while, but it has to be something pretty exclusive and pretty rare, and something that I know there's a big, strong collector's base out there for, high demand, that will drive the price up. Otherwise, I'm buy it now, best offer.
So so basically, if I got this right, you'll take an item and you'll price it high, gauge interest based on views, watchers, questions, and then if it's got a lot of all that goodness, then you'll take it off and put it on auction and let it ride.
Yeah, no, that's what I did with these 2. I mean, just because they're just in such a special category that you just never see them. They never come up. I actually had the thing that made me decide to take it off. I actually had a guy today contact me. He claims, I don't know if it's true, but he owns the copyright to the toy company and was trying to buy them all from me for $1,000. I got them for like $5. I think they could go for more. So you know, I have him as a backup in case they don't sell for what I want, but you know, so I'm pretty confident. Yeah.
Sounds like you're taking the wife out for an expensive dinner soon.
Yeah, we actually have celebration dinners. So every time we get to a certain financial milestone, we'll actually go out to celebrate that, because I think it's important. You know, you're grinding and you're doing all this work, and I always say to myself, you know, what am I doing all this work for? You know, there's got to be some reason for it. You know, you gotta enjoy it. So you got to take some time out to enjoy it for stuff like that. Yeah.
So Flipping Daily asked, what's your average ROI? Do you happen to know that by chance?
My average return, I can't give you a number, but I could tell you that my average return on investment is extremely high, because I generally source things for very, very, very low prices. I buy things in bulk and big volume. I source things very cheaply at garage sales and estate sales. It's routine for me to buy stuff for $1 or less and flip it for $20, $25, $30, $50, even more. So yeah, I mean, even factoring shipping costs and eBay fees and stuff, I mean, it's very high. I don't have high overhead in terms of how much I'm spending on the items, because I'm putting myself in situations that I get a good deal. And that's another tip I would give to people, is put yourself into a situation, especially if you're new, where you're the one who has the leverage in terms of the buyer who doesn't need to necessarily get stuff. So you could have the opportunity to then wait for when the right deal comes across to you, where you could get something really valuable at a low price. That's what my Craigslist ads are really designed for. People who are not looking, I'd say, you're not looking for full retail, contact me. If you have stuff that you just want to flip, you need cash quick. And that's how I get a lot of my stuff, is from that.
So another question, I think this is good. I have 2 questions for you, one from our audience and then one from me. But do you reinvest your profit, or do you save it? That's question 1. Question number 2 is, tell me about these special dinners that you and your wife do. Is it every week, or just
yeah, good question. We just went to one. It's every time for now. It's every time we bring in another 10,000. So we go to let's say like the $40,000 or $50,000, and each time it kind of goes up and up and up. So we kind of joke that when it gets a certain, we're like, where the heck are we going to go next time? So yeah, it's kind of a funny thing we have going on with that. So we just went to one and we had a good time. But sorry, what was the other one?
Do you reinvest
reinvesting.
or save it?
Yeah, good question. So this is something, again, I give Casey Paris a lot of credit for, is really helping me when I was starting back up with this, make sure that I am really well organized from a business perspective and a bank account perspective, going out, getting getting official business bank account, making sure I have an accountant to do my taxes for me, because I used to do it all myself. It just got too complicated. And basically what I did is all my money comes in, goes into this business account. I keep it there throughout the year. Once the taxes come in, I take half of it and I take it for personal use. Like I said, that's why I say, it's got to be a reason we're doing this stuff for. You got to, use it for, you got to pay yourself. And then the other half, I reinvest into the business. So that's why I did a 50-50 split. And that actually seems, I did that. I came up with that based on looking in Facebook groups and seeing that's what a lot of people generally do, is they'll do a 50-50 split like that, part to pay themselves and then also to reinvest.
And then we have another question. What do you end your auctions? The auctions that you do you prefer to end them on the weekends? When do you end your auctions?
That's a good question. I was just reading up on that again today, because I generally don't do auctions, so I was familiarizing myself again with that. And the general advice that some people give is, that you end it on weekends. The best day people say to end it off is on a Sunday night. However, I think if you end it off any nighttime, somewhere between the peak hours of internet usage, so somewhere between 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you're going to be good to go. I think you do want to try to avoid, makes sense to try to avoid ending them during the daytime, because there's going to just be people caught up at work that just can't get to it. But at nighttime, I notice, and I think a lot of other people do, that a lot of your sales come at nighttime, once people are chilling out, relaxing from the end of the workday, they're going on, they're surfing the net, and they're and they're making purchases. So I think that's my best advice in terms of what to do with that. Is I think any time at night between those hours is good. So like I said, I just put that one up tonight. It's a Tuesday. I'm not waiting until Sunday to put those up. I think with that kind of item, people really want it. They'll be around next Tuesday night to seal the deal on it.
So let's go back real quick. I'm curious. You said that you have 2 little kiddos.
Yeah.
Are you teaching them like the value of $1, like buying an item, selling an item, saving money?
Totally. Because, if like I said, especially with 2 kids, and, you want to make sure you're spending time with them. And it's almost impossible to spend quality time with them and doing, this eBay business on the side without finding some way to work that into the fun time. And so we do that. Like my daughter, I joke, I have nicknames for each of them. So my son is Primetime Junior, my wife is Miss Primetime, and my daughter, would joke around, call her Little Miss Primetime. So she likes to come with me, for example, to the estate sales. Now my son, I will say right now, hates estate sales, because he can never find monster toys in them, and the stuff that a boy would want. But generally, so he likes going to garage sales, because you have all those buckets at the end of the driveway with all the toys you can go through. So he loves going through those. But yeah, I'm always teaching them the value of $1, and I'm also teaching them a lot about how to negotiate. So for example, my daughter, I know she's watching this, one of the lessons she's learning from me is not to give in so quick when somebody makes an offer, because she's still like, take that offer, just take it. She's scared that, the person's just going to leave, and then I'm not going to be, I'm going to be left with an item that doesn't sell. And so, part of that is teaching her, always have to accept the best offer. And also that's where doing your research about the items you're getting is so important, because what the value of it is. You did your research on the completed sold. You did your research on what it's currently up for. So you have it at the lowest price, for example, for $50. Someone comes in and offers you 30. You don't have to take that right then and there on the first day. So, teaching her those kind of things, I think, are important. And, just teaching her a good business sense. And like you said, the value of $1 for both my kids, I think that's important.
So Prime, I got a lot of more questions for you, but I'm going to try to be quick because I want to respect your time. But tell me what is up with the Coke or the Pepsi? Do you have one next to you?
The Pepsi?
Or is it the Pepsi or Coca-Cola? It's like the old one, like what is it? You had it in one of your videos.
What was it? I
saw you like Is it like the Crystal Pepsi, like the old stuff they don't make anymore?
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's hilarious. Right. So, I went to an estate sale a few weeks ago, and it's at the very end of the sale. Which again, another lesson, another tip: don't think that just because it's the end of the sale that there's nothing left that's good to get. You won't believe the kind of things people leave behind. So I go in, I get to the end, which is the checkout area, by the way, where everyone had to go to check out. And right there, I couldn't believe my eyes, are 2 full bottles of Crystal Pepsi from the 1990s and an empty bottle. I'm like, this is unbelievable. It's sitting here. I knew what the value of that would be because I just know it, that has like a cult fan base to it. In fact, so much so that in the 90s, when they took it away, they clamored for it to come back for a couple of years recently. But anyway, I wound up purchasing that and a bunch of tins for $5, and I sold the first Crystal Pepsi bottle like last week or 2 weeks ago for $90. So that's what I mean when I say my return on investment is really good. And I don't even bother calculating it really because I'm sourcing these things for low prices, but I'm flipping it generally for really high dollar amounts. Now that doesn't mean, by the way, that I don't have some items that sell for like $10, $15, but those are things from when I buy big lots of stuff where I have stuff that's in there that's real expensive. Like for example, my Funko Pop lot where I bought over 140, 150 of these Funko Pops for $200, and after selling 11 of them, I made all my money back. So it's all profits point. But there will be a few of those pops in there that are only worth like $10. But then again, there's another one like Joffrey Barrington from Game of Thrones that sold for $80.
Okay, so Prime, isn't it? I see all those Amazon boxes behind you. Isn't it? Not only do you like getting Amazon stuff, that you order on a daily basis, but isn't it amazing that it comes with free like polyairs and packing material?
Yeah. So like one of the things that makes absolutely no sense is they will send me like a big giant. Do I have it? I have mine, but they'll send me like a big giant thing of bubble wrap in this big cardboard box, like really sturdy that I could cut up and use for like protective cardboard. But then inside of it, they'll put like tons of tissue paper in it. Like the bubble wrap's not going to break in the mail. You don't have to put all this tissue paper on, but it's great because then I'm like, great, it's free packing material. I love it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm pretty famous for that around where I am. Like people know at work, like I literally have secretaries that bring boxes in from home where they keep boxes that came in, for like a shipment of like, supplies at the hospital, and they'll say like, here, we got boxes for you, So I constantly get free boxes.
Let me ask you a question. I'm curious. A lot of people, they're timid or they just don't want to say that they're reselling, right?
Yeah.
I think that you need to shout it from the rooftop because it only opens more doors than it closes.
Yeah.
How does it work for you? Like, you tell everybody that you resell, right?
Yeah. In fact, I just did a video not too long ago, but a couple weeks ago maybe, which says why you should be, and I put in capital letters, proud to be a reseller. Because one of the points that I just was thinking this myself, and I never heard anyone say it before, but I said, if someone ever says anything to you, because I saw like in a couple Facebook groups that some people get grief for being a reseller. And I said, you know what I would say to someone like that, whoever said that to me? I haven't had anyone say it, but if anyone did, I would say, do you shop at a grocery store or a department store? And of course they're going to say yes, because everyone does that. Say, well, then you support resellers. And they'd probably look at you and say, well, what are you talking about? No, I don't. I said, well, yeah, you do, because that grocery store bought it from a wholesaler who bought it from a company who resold it to you. Even if you go to Costco or you go to BJ's, you go to a wholesale business, they bought it from a company like, Kirkland or something, and then they resold it to you. So most of the stuff you're getting is from resellers. It's just on a smaller scale. That's all.
Prime, not to jump around. I think that's really, really cool. That's a good point. Give us, I like to ask this question sometimes because I want to uncover more websites and different materials like Facebook groups and stuff. Do you have any websites that you like just for reselling in general? You've got your Facebook group. What's some like places that people can go to help them with their reselling journey?
Oh man, I've really learned primarily most of my stuff from going to really from the YouTube videos. I haven't really gone to a specific website that I've learned a lot from. I mean, personally, from my niche area, which is comic books, there's a site that I link to on my YouTube channel once in a while when I talk about this. It's called comicspriceguide.com, which is really helpful just in terms of getting a sense of value if you don't know what the heck's going on with the comics. But that's not really specific to what you're asking about general reselling. So I actually haven't really done that. I've primarily been going to the YouTube channels, not to any websites in particular. Although I do know there's a bunch out there. I know Casey mentioned a few, and Steve Rakin's mentioned a few, but I haven't really gone to them much and explored them in much detail. I will say the green room is pretty cool. I have gone over there a few times. I didn't join as a member, but they have some good free giveaways and stuff. Like, they put together a good book that I think is really helpful. It's a free giveaway called 100 Items to Resell. And, when I was getting back into things, I learned a lot from that in terms of just the value of just diversifying your products. Because like I said, I originally was just doing comic books. I'm doing everything now. So
we have a question. Going to eBay Open. Are you going?
Yeah, I'm not this year because I didn't even really realize it was a thing until it started getting talked about a lot recently. But a bunch of people were asking me. Casey asked me about it. Star asked me about it, and I think I'm really going to try to make it work for next year. I just couldn't shuffle my patient schedule around to do it this year, but next year it's a goal of mine to try to get out there and meet you and meet others, and make that personal connection.
Now I see you have a Superman comic book up there. Is that worth anything? Or is it just...
Well, actually, I'm going to tell you something about that. I'm going to grab that off. It's actually not a comic book cover, but it's a good lesson about how you could sometimes take things and you could flip it and make money with. Let me just grab it for a second. I'll show you what I mean. This has to do with my wife. So sometimes we will buy collections and there'll be some comics that are severely damaged and you'd really have to toss them. And so what my wife does is she takes them and she will take like the cover, for example, and just mount it in a frame, and we'll sell it on eBay, just that, for like $20-$25. Or she'll take the let's see if I have it right here. I don't think I do. Actually, I do. Wait till you see this. This is going to blow your mind. Okay. This is an old, let me get a close up. This is an old Tarzan comic book that my wife took, and it was destroyed, but she took it and decoupaged it and Mod Podged it and put together this whole pictorial scene. And you did ask about other venues. I did put it on Etsy because it's more crafty. So I do have one thing listed there. But like that's an example of how you could take things and that looks like you can't do anything with it and turn it into something that you could sell. We do that all the time. So that's just another tip.
She's crafty, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. She's so awesome. So yeah.
How tall are you, my man? I saw you get up and I thought you were going to touch the ceiling. Let me get. Wait. Before you answer that,
you want to get some guesses?
Everybody in chat, everybody in chat right now that's live, almost 80 of you guys, please let me know. Let's do a poll. How tall do you think Primetime Treasures is? Let's put it in chat. I'm curious. Okay. Where do you find your information on Pepsi bottles to sell? I have cases of Coca-Cola that are old, and I'm wondering if there's a website.
Yeah, it's not like I get like tons of Pepsi bottles or anything like that. It's just, when I got the Crystal Pepsi in, all I did was just go on eBay, just type in under the, completed sold section, in the advanced tab, just looked up Crystal Pepsi and just, saw if, anyone had anything similar to it that had sold recently. So it's just a lot of checking comps, really, just within the eBay app itself. That's pretty much how I'm doing it. It's not like I have like a...
I don't know if you can see chat right now, Prime, but they're guessing.
Yeah, I don't know why.
All right. So what is your height, my man?
All right. 6'6", 250 pounds.
Oh, who was it? It was Elizabeth. She's always in my chat.
And I'll tell you one other thing. I did used to, this is another just weird thing with my whole story. I did used to work as a bouncer at the Jersey Shore when I used to live over there. Bar Anticipation. Some people in the group might know it. It's actually where I met my wife. So pretty funny if anyone has ever been to Bar A. Say it in the chat. I can't see it, but it's a pretty famous bar down there.
Now, last question about the Pepsi. Do you think the person you sold it to drank it or kept it?
I hope not, because I actually, when I was researching it, there's a guy. He has a YouTube channel. I don't know his name, but he specializes in buying like food products and drinks that are way expired and then drinking them live on his channel to see what would happen. So he actually purchased a bottle of Crystal Pepsi and he chugged it down, and he said it was like the most delicious thing. It was one of these ones from the 90s, and then all of a sudden he gets sick and he's like vomiting all over the place. So I actually put, after I saw that in my ad, do not drink this, you will get sick.
Wait, did he get the vomiting on camera?
Huh?
Did he get the vomiting on camera?
I think so, because he started talking about it and I didn't want to watch it, so I just said, I don't want to see that. But yeah, he got sick.
He probably got a million hits on that Prime. All right. So we're getting to the end here, and I want to ask you, what has social media meant for your business, for your eBay business? Like, basically, what value has been on social media, both on YouTube and Instagram, really meant for you? Like, how has it helped you?
It's been incredible. It's been crazy. Again, a huge shout out to Casey on that. If it wasn't for him, there's no way I'd even have started an Instagram account. So I am on Instagram at Primetime Treasure if you want to give it a follow, and I like to interact with people there. That's been really cool, just kind of meeting other resellers and just connecting and seeing what people are doing in terms of what items they're selling, and gives me ideas of, like, be on the lookout items. I do that myself in my Facebook group. I do a free BOLO, free be on the lookout item every day for people. And so I'm learning myself just doing that, sometimes research and stuff, but also people are posting things on my group or other groups that I go to. There's just constant learning through the social media, through the Facebook. I'm not doing much really with the Twitter, although I have a Twitter account, but really it's the Facebook and the Instagram. And then there's the YouTube. Just like, for example, if I didn't have this YouTube channel, obviously me and you are not sitting here talking, and just making these connections have been just so important in terms of just me just growing and learning. Because I tell people, yeah, I try to share things to help you, but I also need to learn from all of you. I don't know everything, and the tips I've just picked up from people have just really helped me out. So it's just, it's like a reciprocal thing, a mutual thing. I just love building up the connections and stuff.
Farm Girl says she was one of the first followers.
Noelle Griffiths. Hi, Noelle. Welcome. Glad you're doing better.
Isn't it amazing that ditto. Like, I think it's really, really cool that you and me are sitting here. Like, I say this all the time, but like, the other day I was in Walmart clearance and I'm scanning through makeup, right? I mean, if you would have told me a year ago that I'd be selling makeup, I don't know. We'll leave it at that. But so one of my last questions here is, we know what social media has meant for you, but give us, I know that Casey's a big influence on you, and he was on my channel recently. We're gonna drink at eBay Open together and have a great time. You're 6'6", he's 6. How tall is Casey? He's 6.
I think he's like 6 feet.
Yeah. Okay. I thought he was like 6'2" or something. Anyways, we'll just say that I'd be the short one out of the bunch. But what are some other YouTube channels that you find inspiration for? Pete, Craigslist Hunter, is a great one. I think he's a fantastic one. I like his persona. He's level keeled. He's always the same, down to earth. But do you have any other? And the reason I ask this is some people in chat may not have seen or heard of any of these YouTubers.
I'd say I pretty much go into the people who most people wouldn't know about. So, Casey and Pete, I'm watching a lot of his stuff lately. Steve Rakin was watching a lot of his stuff. Also, I did watch a lot of Bonafide stuff. We haven't really talked about him lately, but I know Bonafide was a big influence on Casey. When Casey was getting started, Casey was, before he had a channel, he was sitting home watching Bonafide Hustler videos. So I've learned a lot from watching his stuff and the thrift wars and stuff like that. I like those shows. They're kind of cool and kind of learning about different objects and, things of value. So I learned a lot that way. I'd say those are pretty much like the top ones that I've been, kind of following and watching. But, it's tough because whenever you watch one of these things, people will say, like Pete will say, go to this guy's channel, it's great. Go to this guy's channel, it's great. So then I go over and I'm like, well, now I got to watch these. So, I'm trying to take them one at a time. So I'm trying to get through all Pete's, and then I'll kind of move on to someone else after that.
It's funny how that is. Like, it probably was the same for you. Like when I was first reselling, I didn't even know this community existed. And this was before I even wanted to start a YouTube channel up. And this was even before I had Instagram. And I found one person, and then they led me to another, and then another, and then I'm like, holy crap, there's like a ton of us.
Yeah.
Yep. And now that I've been in it, it's actually seems smaller than, like, it seemed small when I first started, and then I thought it was like massive, and now it's like everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
That's really crazy. And how, like, you mentioned that you do all this stuff and you monitor kind of your sleep and all that. Like, first of all, it seems like you eat healthy, right?
Somewhat.
But how do you, like, I'm having a problem too. Like when I have a hard time sleeping, for those of you who don't know, like I toss and turn, like takes me 2 hours to get to sleep or more. So how do you do that? Like, how are you managing your sleep with working full time, 2 kids, an amazing wife, and then yourself at eBay, your current business, thrifting? I mean, the list goes on. Like, how do you do that? Like, what time? I'm curious. I know this is not reselling related, but what time do you sleep and what time do you get up? I'm curious.
Crazy, man. I mean, like, it's especially lately, like I have goals each day that I'm trying to accomplish. I think that's important. And so I try to accomplish those things before I go to bed. Like, that's just Casey talks about that a lot. And so does Steve. You got to have discipline. You have to. And you have to be motivated. And so that motivation, that discipline helps keep me up. But at a certain point, there's times where, I get tired and I'll fall asleep, and then I'll wake up and it'll be 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the morning. And I know I got to get to work. Like, I got to leave like 6:30. And rather than, if I didn't accomplish what I needed to, that drive keeps me up, and I'm then working from 4 or 5 to 6:30, and then I go off to work. So it's not until I have to meet my goals before I say, all right, it's time to turn in. So like there will be times where I'll say, all right, I'll turn in at 2, I'll go to bed, wake up 6:30, and I'm fine. So I could function like that. I could get 4.5, 5 hours, I'm okay. But there's a lot of nights where I'm just just getting a few hours, and I know that's not the healthiest thing in the world, but if I, especially in the wintertime, I do get to catch up a little bit with it because it's not so crazy with the sourcing. But right now, it's like peak time for for sourcing and getting stuff. All the garage sales are popping. There's so many more estate sales. And so, even on the weekends where you normally would say, okay, you could catch up there, I'm out early going and getting stuff. So, every night's a little bit different. Some nights are better than others.
Well, Thrifty Santa said,
right now I feel good. I feel fine right now. I feel good. Once in a while, it's another thing. I will sneak in like a half-hour power nap here or there, and that does help. That does help.
It's funny when you're younger and you're like, naps. You hate naps, right? You can't do naps. And then all of a sudden, when you get older, you're like, you welcome it. You welcome it. All right. So Wade's Ventures new video setup and angle looks great. Good. I'm going to say amazing, Barry, but I appreciate that, my man. I'm glad I'm going to be able to see you in less than a month. Going to eBay Open. So this is it. This is the point where I'm first of all, guys, I'm going to put his YouTube channel below. Like, I can't stress this enough. This man deserves so many amazing followers because you're like that. I can tell you I'd be a little intimidated if you rolled up in my estate sale, but man, you are one amazing guy. It's tough. You have a few things working against you when you roll up an estate sale. Obviously when we get older, we lose our hair.
Yeah.
You're like a basketball player out there, but man, you are one amazing guy. I'm really glad I had this opportunity, to really talk with you. I think this is the point of these interviews, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, is to get people like you on here and just showcase you to everybody. I mean, real quick, we've got like 75 people watching, but everybody in chat, let me know. Put 1 if you were already subscribed to his YouTube channel, and put 2 if you were not subscribed to his YouTube channel. And the reason I ask this is I'm curious to see how many people rolled up here already subscribed. But so that being said, before we leave, do you have any other items that you could show us and give us any tidbits there right around your desk?
Yeah, actually, I'll show you this because I'm still blown away by this, and I found it this weekend. I have not had a chance to put it up yet because last night I put up the, the light that I told you about. But what came from the same collection, you mentioned Pepsi. Actually, it's kind of funny. Let me just grab this real quick, just so you get a sense of the size of this box. Oh my gosh, this thing is so heavy. So here's the box, just to give you a perspective of it. Okay, now I'm just going to grab one part out of this box right here. So let's just end this off on like a little story. Okay, so I go to this estate sale this weekend, and I only had about an hour to spend there because I had it's balancing parenthood out with reselling because I had to bring my daughter somewhere, and I knew what time I had to leave to go pick her up. So I knew I had an hour there. I get to the estate sale, started at 9. It's 9:15. There's still a line outside the door because it's a small house. I put my name on the list. I'm waiting 15 minutes. I finally get in. I hit the basement first because that's the area where most of the good stuff usually is. And it's just jam-packed in there. I mean, it is just, you can't even move, right? So I pick up a few things, then I start scanning the room, and I look, and in the back left corner, I could see there's a room. It's like a separate room, and no one's in it. No one. Everyone just had blinders on and just looking straight ahead at the first item. So I see there's all these items that I picked up, pretty much most of them were in this room. And then there's this box. So I take this box, I pick it up, I open it up, and I start looking through it. And this is just one of them. I'll try to get a good picture of it. These are old drafting blueprints. If you can see this right here, this is original handmade of a train. And there's all other ones like this of railroad items, of trains, of all these intricate gears and everything like this. And I said to myself, if I just put this online, I could probably sell just this for somewhere between $20 and $40 to a collector who want to put this in a frame. And went home afterwards, did some research on it, and figured, yeah, that's accurate. And then I looked, and literally, like, this whole box is literally filled with all of these, blueprints and train diagrams and all these gears. There's hundreds of them. I got the whole box for $8.
Wow.
So that would be my parting group of items that I would, that I would show you. So I'm excited about those.
Paper sells, right? Prime time.
Absolutely, I do a ton in the paper.
Last question: how do you ship? How are you going to ship that if it sells?
If that sells, what I'm going to do is, and this is where it's helpful being into comic books, is that let's see if I have one as an example here that I can just show you real quick. Well, most of the comic books will come in a plastic bag like this, and then there'll be, this one doesn't have it, but there'll be like a piece of cardboard that goes behind it that's nice and firm and sturdy and prevents bending. So and there's all different sizes for different size books and for magazines. So I just have it folded up, I put it within there, and then I sandwich it between two pieces of sturdy cardboard, not one that would bend easily. And then I tape it up, and then I put it in an envelope. I mean, if it was really something super valuable, I put it in a box. But normally, the system that I use with protecting it the way I just mentioned, I never have a problem.
Nice. That's kind of the same thing I do, but I don't put two. So yeah. I mean, I don't put some in. I should probably put some inside. I think it's really cool. I can tell that you enjoy reselling. I almost can tell you that. I don't know your financial situation, but I'm assuming that if you stopped reselling today, that you would be fine.
Yeah.
But I can genuinely tell that you enjoy this.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, Wade. I mean, I don't need to do this. That's true. I absolutely do not. I could put all this stuff down and I could be completely fine. What drives me is just the passion. I love it. I just love it. It's just one of the things I do on the side, which is actually, in a way, if you think about it, is related to this. I love doing metal detecting. And if you think about it, it's very similar. You're treasure hunting. I love just to look for treasure, to find something that people missed, that people didn't know was there, that's buried under a box, buried under a tree. I love doing that stuff, and I love turning it into a business. See, the problem with the metal detecting, which I spent a lot of time doing, you're not going to generally get rich off that and make a lot of money finding, you're going to spend like 2 hours, you're going to find a couple dimes and quarters and pennies and bottle caps for the most part, if you're at a park. So this is way more lucrative. So, put my energies into this now. But yeah, I do love it.
All right, prime time.
All right.
What's in store for your YouTube channel, guys? This is towards the end. I want to say that I appreciate you coming on board, buddy. I truly think that you're a friend of mine now. Not that you were
Absolutely.
before, but I feel like we bonded. You were amazing. But real quick, tell us what's in store for your, like, give us a schedule that you have for your YouTube channel for everybody that just subscribed. Tell us what they can expect.
I've been trying to put out a video pretty much every day, and that's really challenging. So a lot of times, I mean, no one's really commented on this, but if you see some of my videos and I just look exhausted, that's because sometimes I'm doing videos at like 2 in the morning down here. I mean, but I'm trying to mix it up with all different sorts of things. Like, so I do have a lot of haul videos. I just started based on someone asked me to do these what sold videos, so I'm doing those now each month. I'm doing all sorts of tip videos as well, and just all different aspects with regards to shipping, packing, sourcing, strategies to use. I haven't done a live show yet because, like you said, I don't have enough subscribers, I don't think, so maybe once I hit like 1,000 or something like that, I might consider doing something like that once in a while, and I'd have to have you on as my first guest for sure.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Tell us, the last thing is about your Facebook group. Like how does that, is it free to join? Is there people in there that can help? Like, tell us
Totally free. If you go to my YouTube channel, you'll find the link to it down below in the description section. It's called the Facebook Reselling Resource Center. And it's a place where what I do is I put a free be on the lookout item of the day on there. So, people could just get value out of that. People have texted me or sending me messages telling me they've made money just getting the be on the lookout item that I put up. And it's on all sorts of different topics. Like, it's not just on comics, it's on everything, clothes, signs, whatever. It could be on any topic. And then, it's just a forum where people could, because I know there's some Facebook groups where you are restricted in terms of dropping links to your store, dropping links to your business, or just dropping YouTube channel links in general. I don't have any rules posted in my group because I really trust people. So far it's been the case that there's like 460 members so far, and I haven't had a single issue with anybody really. So no trolls, anything like that. I mean, it's been really good. And so, I allow people to self-promote, but I let them know, just do it, be respectful, do it in a non-spammy way, and add some value. Like, if you're going to tell me something you're selling, tell me why it's good. Tell me, tell everyone what's cool about the item, how you found it. Just try to share some information, or tell us if you're selling a product, why should we want to invest in your service? What do you do that would, be helpful to us? So, that's it. Just be non-spammy with it. So, it is a place where it's a little more open in terms of the things you're allowed to do compared to some of the other groups.
And before we go, we have one last question. What metal detector do you use?
A Garrett AT Pro.
Well, guys, I appreciate you guys joining. I hopefully can everybody give like a big round of applause for this man. One of my favorite interviews to do. You're super knowledgeable. You made it extremely fun for me, easy for me, and I appreciate. Like I said, I can't say this enough. I really think that everybody watching, whether you're live or you're watching this after the fact and you're listening when this is not live, please subscribe to this man's YouTube channel. And that being said, you've seen my videos. We always leave on a positive note, and I want to ask you, what kind of positive quote or vibe or inspiration can you give everybody before we leave? Words of wisdom.
Well, sure. I'll just, if you want to quote, a quote that I actually have in my high school yearbook is, "It's never a battle of skills, it's a battle of wills." And I totally believe that. Willpower will get you so far. You don't have to be the smartest person. You don't have to, be the most skilled person. I mean, it does help, obviously, if you have some of those things. But if you're deficient in some of those areas, or you fall short, having that motivation, that drive will do completely, help compensate for that in so many instances. And so you just have the drive, have the passion, and it'll just keep, take you very, very far just with that. And the other thing I would just say, it's not a quote, but I just find myself just having a routine and a schedule is one of the most important keys to me being successful, and just sticking with that.
All right, guys. hit the subscribe button to this YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button to his YouTube channel. Hit the little bell button so you know when I go live. We've got interviews tomorrow. We've got interviews Thursday. It's going to take a lot to top this, but Primetime Treasures, I appreciate you, and I appreciate everybody joining. Sorry we didn't have a live show yesterday, but look forward to it this week, guys. Have an awesome day, and thank you so much for joining, and I appreciate every one of you guys. So see you guys.
Thanks, Wade.